What do you do when the man sleeping next to you for 23 years has been stealing from your family $720,000 gone, and you never knew? I'm talking about my husband. The man I trusted with everything. For 20 straight years, he left our house every Tuesday at exactly 10:47 a.m. Rain, snow, holidays didn't matter. Always 10:47. Every single time. I never questioned it. Not once. Until I stayed home sick and watched him check his watch 3 times in 5 minutes. He grabbed his wallet like his life depended on it and walked out that door right on schedule. So I called him. "Hey babe, where you going?" He paused. Just half a second. But that pause made my stomach drop. "Just the bank, honey. Need anything?" "The bank? We haven't stepped foot in a bank in 10 years. Everything's online." That lie sat in my chest like a stone. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I followed him. What I saw that day destroyed my world. My husband wasn't having an affair. He wasn't sick. He was meeting a man in a $3,000 suit who walked him out like he owned him. When they shook hands, I saw something on my husband's face I'd never seen before, pure hatred. That man's name was Leon Thornton. He'd been destroying my family for 20 years while I slept thinking we were fine. We weren't fine. We were drowning. Before we continue, hit that subscribe button, because what I'm about to tell you will change how you see the people closest to you. Drop a comment and tell me what time it is where you are. I want to know who's here with me. I'm a bookkeeper. Numbers don't lie to me. People do. So when I tell you my husband left every Tuesday at exactly 10:47 a.m. for 20 years, I mean exact. Not 10:45, not 10:50, down to the minute. And I never asked why. March 15th changed everything. I woke up with the flu, fever, chills, the works, called in sick for the first time in 3 years. My husband brought me tea, kissed my forehead, told me to rest. Then I watched him from our bedroom window. He checked his watch. Once. Twice. 3 times in 5 minutes. His hand shook when he grabbed his wallet. He looked terrified. At 10:47 exactly, he walked out. Something felt wrong. I grabbed my phone. "Hey honey, where you headed?" Silence. 2 seconds of dead air that felt like forever. "Just running to the bank, babe. You need anything?" The bank. We haven't been inside a bank in 10 years. That lie hit me like a punch. My brain made up 100 innocent reasons. Anniversary surprise, secret hobby, poker night with the guys. But my gut knew better. 23 years of marriage, 2 kids. I'd seen this man cry twice when his mom died and when our daughter was born. I knew him, or thought I did. Every cell in my body screamed at me to follow him. So I listened. I threw on jeans and a hoodie, grabbed my keys with shaking hands, and got in my car. My heart pounded so hard I could hear it in my ears. I kept telling myself I was being paranoid, that I'd follow him to some flower shop and feel like an idiot. That's not what happened. I stayed 3 cars back the whole way. He pulled into First National Bank on Maple Street, parked, walked inside. I sat across the street watching that door like my life depended on it. 1 hour went by. Then another. What kind of bank business takes 2 hours? Finally, the door opened. My husband walked out, but not alone. A man in an expensive suit walked next to him. Tall, silver hair, the kind of guy who looks like he owns half the city. My husband's shoulders hunched over like he was carrying something heavy. His face looked empty, defeated. They stopped at the curb and shook hands. I saw something on my husband's face that made my blood run cold. Hatred. Pure, raw hatred. In 23 years, I'd never seen him look at anyone like that. The man climbed into a black Mercedes. The license plate read, DVLPR 1. Developer 1. This wasn't a doctor. This wasn't innocent. This was something dark. I made a choice right there. I followed that Mercedes straight to whatever hell my husband had been hiding from me. The car took me to the richest neighborhood in town. Massive gates, perfect grass, stone lions at the entrance. The house had to be worth over $1 million. I parked down the street and typed the address into my phone. Property records popped up instantly. Leon Thornton. Commercial real estate developer. Net worth $8.7 million. That name hit me like ice water. Leon Thornton. I knew that name. But from where? Then it clicked. My dad. My father's estate papers. I drove home so fast I don't remember the trip. My hands shook when I unlocked the door. My husband wasn't back yet. Good. I needed time. I went straight to our office and ripped open the file cabinet. Tax returns, insurance papers, birth certificates. Then I found the folder labeled Dad's Estate in my own handwriting. I dumped everything on the floor and started digging. Bank statements, medical bills, investment receipts. My dad had thrown money at every scheme that came his way. Then I found it at the very bottom. A legal document, yellowed paper, dated October 2008. Promissory note. $185,000, payable to Leon Thornton Development, LLC. My father's signature at the bottom in his messy handwriting. But there was a second page stapled to it, an addendum. Dated 6 months after my dad died. My husband's signature was right there. My heart stopped. I read it 3 times to make sure I wasn't seeing things. He didn't just co-sign it. He took over the entire debt. The terms made me sick. 22% interest. Weekly payments required. Collateral listed as personal guarantee and family assets. My husband had put our entire life on the line. Our house, our savings, everything, to pay off my dead father's debt, and he never said a word. I heard the garage door open. He was home. I sat on the floor holding that paper and realized something that broke me completely. I had no idea who was about to walk through that door. I moved to the kitchen table and laid that document out flat. Then I sat down and waited. When he walked in and saw me sitting there with the promissory note in front of me, all the color drained from his face. He looked like he might pass out. The first thing he said wasn't an explanation. It was 4 words. "Please don't leave me." I thought he'd try to lie. Tell me it wasn't what it looked like. But he didn't. He just dropped into the chair across from me and started crying. Deep, painful crying. The kind that comes from holding something inside for so long it finally breaks you. I didn't touch him. I didn't say anything. I just waited. Finally, he wiped his face and looked at me. His voice came out barely above a whisper. "I've paid him $720,000. I felt like someone punched me in the stomach. Over 20 years, $695 every single week, and we still owe $47,000. I'm a bookkeeper. I did the math in my head. $720,000 on a $185,000 loan, almost 4 times what my dad borrowed. That's illegal, I said. He nodded. I know. But if I stopped paying, he said he'd sue your mom, your sister. He said he'd take their house. I couldn't let that happen. My mom, my sister. They just lost my dad when this started. They were barely surviving. After your dad died, Leon showed up at our door with a lawyer. He had photos of your mom's house. He had the deed somehow. He said if I didn't take over the debt, he'd sue them both and take everything. Your mom would have been homeless. My chest felt tight. I couldn't breathe right. And he told me if I said one word to you about it, he'd know. He'd demand everything at once. He said you'd blame yourself for your dad's mistakes. He said it would destroy you. So I signed the paper and made a choice to handle it myself. That's when it hit me. My husband hadn't been lying because he was weak. He'd been lying because he thought he was saving my family, saving me. All those times he worked double shifts and said he was saving for retirement. All those vacations we skipped because money was tight. All those nights he came home exhausted. He was dying, slowly, one Tuesday at a time, and I had no idea. I looked at this man sitting across from me, the man who gave up 20 years of our life to protect my mother and sister, and something inside me changed. I wasn't angry at him anymore. I was furious, but not at him, at Leon Thornton. We're going to take him down, I said. Together. And we're getting every penny back. We spent 3 straight days building a spreadsheet. Every payment, every date, every dollar. 20 years of receipts my husband kept in a shoebox in the closet. Then we started researching Illinois usury laws, maximum interest rates, consumer protections. We thought it would be simple. Gather the proof, show a lawyer, file a complaint, done. It wasn't simple. We called 5 different lawyers. Every single one said the same thing. It's too old. The statute of limitations has passed. I'm sorry. By the 5th call, my husband's face just shut down. He looked at me with empty eyes and said, "Maybe we just pay the last $47,000 and walk away. At least it'll be over." I almost agreed. Almost. But something in me wouldn't let it go. This man had stolen 20 years from us. He didn't deserve to win. So I made one more call. Illinois Department of Financial and Professional Regulation. I expected nothing. Maybe some bored person who'd tell me to hire a lawyer and hang up. Instead, they transferred me to Jennifer Torres, special investigator. She'd been going after predatory lenders for 15 years. I told her everything, the loan, the payments, the threats. She didn't interrupt once. When I finished, she asked me to email her every document we had. Then she went quiet for 3 days. I thought that meant it was over, that even she couldn't help us. Then my phone rang. I found it, Jennifer said. Her voice sounded different, excited. Your husband's loan was restructured in 2014. Do you understand what that means? I didn't. When Leon restructured the terms, he created a new loan, and in 2011, Illinois capped personal loan interest at 9%. He's been charging you 22% for the last 11 years. That's illegal. We've got him. For the first time in 3 days, I felt like I could breathe. My husband grabbed my hand so hard it hurt. What do we do? I asked. Jennifer's voice got serious. We need proof he knew the loan was illegal. We need him to say it out loud. And the only way to get that is to set a trap. Your husband has to meet with him one more time, and he has to wear a wire. My stomach dropped. A wire. My husband walking into a room with a man who'd been terrorizing us for 20 years. Is it safe? I asked. I'll be close by, but I can't guarantee what Leon will do when he realizes your husband's done paying. Desperate people do desperate things. I looked at my husband. He looked back at me. Without saying a word, we both knew what we had to do. We were finishing this, no matter what it took. Jennifer told us the plan. Step 1 was simple. My husband had to miss a payment. After 20 years of showing up every single Tuesday, he had to break the pattern. We needed to make Leon nervous. Tuesday came. My husband stayed home. We sat at the kitchen table staring at the clock. 10:47 came and went. No garage door opening. No car starting. Just silence. We thought Leon would call right away, or send his lawyer, maybe even show up at our door. But hours went by. Nothing. Then at 11:30, my husband's phone rang. Unknown number. He looked at me. I nodded. He put it on speaker. Everything all right? Leon's voice came through smooth and calm, almost amused. Missed you this morning. My husband's hands shook, but his voice came out steady. I'm done, Leon. The loan's illegal. You've been stealing from us for 20 years. Long silence. Then Leon laughed. Not a real laugh. A cold one that made my skin crawl. Prove it. He hung up. We thought that was it. Jennifer told us to stay calm. She'd start building the case with what we had. Just sit tight and wait. But Leon wasn't done. 3 days later, we went grocery shopping. Just a normal Saturday morning. Eggs, milk, bread. We were gone maybe an hour. When we got home, everything looked fine. Door locked, windows closed. I went upstairs to put away some clothes, opened the bedroom closet to grab a hanger. That's when I saw it. The shelf where my husband kept that old shoebox, the one with rubber bands around it, the one with 20 years of payment receipts inside. It was empty. Honey, I called down. My voice didn't sound like mine. Where's the shoebox? He came running up the stairs, looked at the empty shelf. His face went white. We tore the house apart, checked every closet, every drawer, every cabinet. Nothing else was missing. Not my jewelry, not our laptops, not the cash we kept in the kitchen drawer. Just the receipts. The only physical proof we had. Leon had broken into our home. He'd been inside our bedroom, and he'd stolen the one thing that could bury him. I called Jennifer. I could barely talk. My whole body shook. He broke in. He took everything, all the receipts. We have nothing. I expected her to tell us it was over, that without physical proof, we couldn't win. Instead, she said something that scared me more than anything else. Good. That means he's panicking. Scared people make mistakes, but now we have to push harder. Your husband needs to meet with him face to face, and this time, he's wearing a wire. The next morning, Jennifer came to our house with the equipment. She explained everything twice. The wire would be taped to my husband's chest under 2 shirts. She'd be parked 100 yards away, with 2 officers nearby in regular clothes. He won't hurt you, she said. He's a businessman. He'll talk. They always do. I wanted to believe her. My husband called Leon that night. I need to meet with you. One last time. I want to work something out. I'm desperate. I'll do whatever it takes. Long silence. Then Leon said one word. Where? Oakwood Park, Saturday, 2 o'clock. Fine. Click. That night, my husband didn't sleep. He just lay there staring at the ceiling. Around 3 in the morning, he turned to me and whispered, "What if he knows? What if he figures out it's a setup?" I'd learned what lies do to people you love, so I just held his hand tight and said, "Then we fight, together." Saturday came too fast. We drove to Oakwood Park without saying a word. Jennifer was already waiting in an unmarked car. She put the wire on my husband in the back seat, tested it 3 times. Then she looked him straight in the eye. "Get him talking about the break-in. Get him to admit he took the receipts. That's felony burglary. That's what we need." My husband nodded. His face was pale, but his jaw was set. He walked toward the park bench, where they'd agreed to meet. I stayed in Jennifer's car watching through binoculars. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. Leon was already sitting there, arms crossed, looking annoyed. They talked for a minute. I couldn't hear anything from the car. Then my husband said something and Leon's whole body changed. He leaned forward, started talking fast. Jennifer had the audio in her ear. Her eyes went wide. She looked at me and whispered, "He's doing it. He's confessing." My husband said, "I know you took the receipts." Leon smiled, actually smiled. Then he said loud and clear, "You can't prove anything without those receipts. Good luck trying. That loan's been dead and buried for 20 years. You think anyone cares about payments you can't prove you made?" He'd just admitted to the burglary. And he'd admitted he knew the loan was illegal. Jennifer was already moving. She signaled the officers. They started walking toward the bench. My husband reached into his jacket and pulled out the wire recorder, held it up so Leon could see it. "Actually, Leon, I can prove all of it, and you just made it easier." Leon's face went from smug to terrified in 2 seconds. He lunged for the recorder, but the officers were already there. They had him on the ground in seconds. It was over. 20 years of torture. Done. Finished. For the first time in 2 decades, I watched my husband breathe like he was finally free. I'd never seen a powerful man lose everything in real time until that moment in Oakwood Park. I thought Leon would run, or deny everything, call his lawyers, threaten us, something. But when Jennifer and the officers moved in, his face changed. That smug confidence melted away in seconds. He went pale. His mouth opened, but nothing came out. Then he lunged for the recorder in my husband's hand. The officers grabbed him, slammed him down on the ground. He started screaming, "You can't do this to me. I have rights. I'll have your badges. My lawyers will destroy you." All I could think was, "You did this to us for 20 years. You broke into our home. You stole from my family. And now it's finally over." They put handcuffs on him right there in the park. People were watching, taking out their phones, recording. Leon Thornton being arrested like a common criminal. The man who thought he was untouchable. Jennifer came over to us after they put him in the police car. "This isn't just about you two," she said. "We've been tracking him for months. He's done this to dozens of families. You're not the only ones." Dozens. Other people living the same nightmare we'd been living. I thought we'd have to go to court. Months of waiting. Maybe years. Sitting in a courtroom while Leon's expensive lawyers tried to twist everything. But 48 hours later, his lawyer called Jennifer. The evidence was too strong. The recording, the illegal loan terms, the confession about the break-in. Leon was facing 15 years in prison. He took a plea deal. Full restitution. $459,000 paid directly to us. Every illegal dollar he'd stolen plus damages. He had to give up his lending license. Could never do business in Illinois again. And he had to pay back almost $2 million to all his other victims. The man who'd controlled our lives for 20 years was done, finished, destroyed. We got a check in the mail 2 weeks later. I held it in my hands and just stared at it. All those years. All that pain. All those Tuesday mornings watching my husband walk out that door carrying a burden I didn't even know existed. And now we had the money back. We'd won. But winning didn't feel the way I thought it would. The hardest part wasn't taking down Leon. It wasn't the trial, or the arrest, or getting our money back. The hardest part was sitting across from my husband at our kitchen table with that check between us and realizing we had to figure out how to move forward. How to rebuild trust that had been broken, not by lies meant to hurt, but by lies meant to protect. He'd carried this alone for 20 years because he thought he was saving me. And I had to figure out how to forgive him for that, how to forgive myself for not seeing it sooner. We sat there in silence for what felt like hours, the check just sitting between us like a wall. Finally, I looked at him. This man who'd worked himself into the ground, who'd lied to my face every single Tuesday, who'd carried a weight so heavy it almost crushed him. "Why didn't you trust me?" I asked. He looked up. Tears filled his eyes. "Because I loved you too much to watch you break the way your mom and sister would have. I thought I was protecting you, but now I see I was just protecting myself. I was too scared to share the pain." That hit me harder than anything else. He didn't keep the secret because he thought I was weak. He kept it because he was afraid to be vulnerable. Afraid to admit he needed help. I had a choice right then. I could let 20 years of secrets destroy what we'd built. Or I could choose to see the man sitting in front of me, not the lies, but the love that caused them. Forgiveness isn't one moment. It's not something you say once and it's done. It's a choice you make every single day. I reached across the table and took his hand. "We're partners," I said. "That's what marriage is supposed to be. You don't get to decide what I can handle. From now on, we carry everything together. The good stuff, the bad stuff, the impossible stuff. Deal?" He squeezed my hand so tight it hurt. And he nodded, tears running down his face. For the first time in 20 years, I watched him take a real breath, like he'd been holding it in this whole time, and finally let it go. We sat there for a long time, just holding hands across that table. Not talking, just being together. Actually together for the first time in 2 decades. But as we sat there, something else started growing in both of us. We'd won our fight. We'd taken down Leon. We'd gotten our money back. But what about all those other families? The dozens of people Jennifer said Leon had done this to? What about the people still trapped in situations like ours who don't know there's a way out? My husband looked at me. "We should do something with this money," he said. "Something that matters." And I knew exactly what he meant. We stared at that check like it was a bomb. $459,000. Enough to change our lives. Enough to pretend the last 20 years never happened. But we remembered every Tuesday. Every lie. Every tear. "We can't just spend this," I said. "It feels wrong." He nodded. "It's pain money." That night we didn't watch TV. We didn't scroll our phones. We sat with a notebook between us and started writing. Names, ideas, questions. How many other families were still trapped? How many people were scared to ask for help? By midnight, the idea was clear. "We start something," I said. "A place people can go before it gets this bad. A place that knows the tricks guys like Leon use." My husband looked at me. "We fight back. For them." We met with a nonprofit lawyer the next week. The woman listened to our story without blinking. Then she leaned forward. "You two could save a lot of people," she said. "If you're serious." We were. We filed papers, opened a separate bank account, chose a name that made my chest tight and proud at the same time. The Brennan Foundation for Financial Justice. My dad's name. The man whose mistakes started it all. We weren't hiding from it anymore. We were owning it. The first office was tiny, 1 room over a laundromat, peeling paint, flickering light. We bought 2 used desks and 4 folding chairs off a yard sale app. But we had a laptop, a printer, a phone, and we had a story. We built a simple website. Trapped in a loan you can't escape? Call us. Free help. No judgment. Jennifer sent us our first case. Single mom. 3 kids. Payday loan at 400% interest. She was paying, and the balance never moved. We sat with her at our wobbly table. Went through her papers. Read every line. Same tricks. Hidden fees. Illegal terms. My husband looked at her with the same steady eyes he'd used with me at that kitchen table. "We're going to fight this," he said. "You're not alone." We helped her file complaints, called the state, wrote letters. 3 months later, her loan was wiped. Her wages stopped getting hit. She cried so hard she couldn't talk. Then she hugged both of us. That was the first one. It didn't stop there. Word spread. Church groups, Facebook posts, One radio interview. People started calling from all over the state. An old man whose house was tied to a signature he didn't understand. A young couple with a rent-to-own contract that was really a trap. A widow paying on a loan her dead husband never even saw. Every story felt like ours. Different faces, same fear. We kept a whiteboard on the office wall. Every time we helped someone escape a bad loan, we wrote a line. Case #own, case #2, case #3. By the end of the first year, the board was full. 47 families freed. Over $3 million wiped, refunded, or forgiven. Every Tuesday at 10:47 a.m., we did the same thing. We stopped whatever we were doing. Phones, emails, meetings, everything. We stood in the middle of that tiny office, side by side, and stayed silent for 60 seconds. We thought about the years we lost. Then we went back to work helping someone else get theirs back. The anger that once ate me alive had turned into something sharp and clear. Not hate. Purpose. One night, as we closed the office, my husband locked the door and leaned his head against the glass. "If I had told you the truth back then," he said, "none of this would be here." I stepped beside him. "If you had told me the truth," I said, "we would have fought this together sooner, but we can't change that. We can only decide what this pain costs now." He looked at the dark street, then at our cheap sign. "Do you forgive me?" he asked. The old me might have said yes just to make him feel better. The new me told the truth. "Some days it's easy," I said. "Some days I still feel that first crack in my chest, but every time we help another family, it fills in a little more." He nodded, eyes shining. "I'll spend the rest of my life earning it." I took his hand. "Good," I said, "because we're just getting started. If you're listening to this and something in your gut is twisting, don't ignore it. If the numbers in your house never add up, if your partner tenses when money comes up, if there's a Tuesday at 10:47 in your life that never has a clear answer, ask, look, dig. Not because you want to fight, because you want the truth. Silence almost cost us everything. Now, every time we pick up the phone at the foundation and hear a shaking voice on the other end, I remember the girl I used to be, the one who watched her husband walk out the door, clueless, and I say the words I once needed to hear. You're not crazy. You're not alone. And this is not the end of your story. People think the story ends with the bad guy in cuffs and a big check in the mail. It doesn't. The real war started after Leon was gone. On the outside, we were the strong couple who beat the system. Inside our house, every corner held a ghost. The couch where I sat for years thinking he was at work. The door he walked through every Tuesday, smelling like cold air and fear. The closet shelf where that shoebox used to sit. We changed our locks after the break-in, but I still woke up at night, sure someone was standing in the dark, watching. My husband would bolt upright in bed, gasping, like he'd heard Leon's voice again. Money wasn't the problem anymore. Trust was. One night, I found him at the kitchen table, lights off, staring at his phone. The screen showed his calendar. Every Tuesday at 10:47 a.m., still blocked off. 20 years of repeating reminders. He hadn't deleted them. "You can delete it," I said softly. He shook his head. "If I erase it, it's like saying it didn't happen." I took the phone from his hand, looked at the little line of weekly appointments, then set it down. "Then don't erase it," I said. "Change it." The next Tuesday, we sat in the office at 10:40, watching the clock. Everyone else had gone to lunch. It was just us. When the minutes flicked to 10:47, he opened his calendar, edited the event, and typed in 4 new words. "Help someone get free." He hit save. Something tight inside, both of us loosened a little. But healing wasn't a straight line. Sometimes I'd be fine, then see a bank ad on TV, and my chest would clamp shut. Sometimes he'd come home late from a client meeting and, for one ugly second, my mind would whisper, "He's lying again." I hated that voice. One night, he came in an hour late, hair damp from the rain, shirt wrinkled. My heart started pounding. "Traffic?" I asked, too sharp. He froze, just like he used to when I got too close to the secret. Then, instead of dodging, he walked to his bag, pulled out a crumpled gas receipt, and a signed intake form from the foundation. "Lady from Rockford," he said quietly. Her husband took out a car title loan without telling her. She was going to lose her van. He slid the papers across the counter. Not as proof, as invitation. Ask me next time, he said. Even if it hurts. I'd rather bleed the truth than hide again. That broke something in me in a good way. We started having what we called ugly talks. No filters, no pretending. I told him every way his secret had cut me. He told me how many times he almost confessed and swallowed it back down. Some nights ended in tears. Some ended in silence. But none ended with either of us walking away. Then came the visit that changed everything. It was a Thursday afternoon. The foundation's door opened, and a woman in her 50s stepped in. Neat clothes, tired eyes. "Can I help you?" I asked. She looked past me at my husband, who was setting files on a shelf. Her face went pale. You're Mark," she said. "You used to come into Thornton's office. Every Tuesday." My stomach turned to ice. "Who are you?" I asked. She twisted her hands together. "My name's Carla. I was Leon's assistant for 11 years. My husband went rigid. "I quit the day he got arrested," she said. "I told myself I was just doing my job all those years. But I watched people walk in normal and walk out smaller." She pulled a flash drive from her pocket and set it on the desk like it was live wire. "I kept copies," she whispered. "Emails, loan files, the stuff he told me to lose. I was too scared to go to the police, but when I heard what you two are doing here, I thought maybe I could finally put it somewhere that makes sense." My pulse thundered. "Why now?" She met my eyes. "Because I heard a man at my church say your name," she said, nodding at my husband. "He said you got his brother out of a loan," Leon wrote. "And he said you did it for free." Her chin shook. "I can't undo what I helped him do, but I can help you stop the next Leon." We plugged in the drive that night. Contracts, side deals, handwritten notes, names and addresses and balances. Not dozens of victims. Hundreds. We sat there in the blue glow of the computer screen reading line after line of quiet suffering. This wasn't one monster. This was a system. My husband pushed back from the desk, eyes burning. "We thought we finished this," he said. "We didn't. We just cut off one head." I looked at the list. At all the people who still had no idea they had a way out. "Then we go bigger," I said. "We don't just fix loans. We teach people how to see them before they sign. We don't just fight one Leon. We shine a light on all of them." He nodded slowly. For the first time, the fight ahead felt bigger than our pain. It felt like our purpose. Carla's flash drive changed everything. We spent 3 days going through the files. Hundreds of names, addresses, loan amounts, interest rates that made our stomachs turn. One stood out. Marcus Webb. Signed a business loan in 2016. Started at $50,000. Now he owed $370,000. Same playbook Leon used on us. Hidden fees, compounding interest, impossible terms. We called the number on file. A woman answered. Her voice was flat, empty. "Marcus doesn't take calls about the loan anymore," she said. "We're not calling to collect," I said quickly. "We're calling to help." Silence. Then her voice cracked. "Nobody can help us. Try us," my husband said. She gave us an address. The house was small, paint peeling, grass overgrown, a car in the driveway with one flat tire and a cracked windshield. Marcus answered the door looking 20 years older than his photo. "You from the bank?" he asked. "No," I said. "We're from the Brennan Foundation. We help people trapped in bad loans." He laughed, but it had no humor. "Lady, I'm past trapped. I'm buried." We sat at his kitchen table. His wife stood by the counter, arms crossed, like she was guarding herself. "Tell us what happened," my husband said. Marcus explained. He'd started a landscaping business, needed equipment, went to a lender who promised easy terms, no hassle. The contract looked clean, 9% interest, monthly payments, standard stuff. But buried in the fine print was a clause. If he was ever late even once, the rate jumped to 24%, retroactively. He missed one payment. Just one. His truck broke down and the repair ate his whole budget. After that, every payment went to interest. The balance never moved. He tried refinancing, got denied, tried talking to the lender, got threatened with lawsuits. Now his house was collateral. His business was gone. His marriage was hanging by a thread. "I should have just walked away," he said. Let them take it all. But my wife's dad left her this house. If I lose it, I lose her too. His wife looked away, eyes red. My husband leaned forward. We've seen this before, worse than this, and we've beaten it. Marcus shook his head. Man, I appreciate what you're trying to do, but this isn't some small-time crook. This is Pinnacle Financial Group. They've got lawyers in 3 states. They don't lose. I pulled out a folder. Leon Thornton didn't think he'd lose either. But he's in prison now, and we got every dollar back. Marcus stared at the court documents, the settlement papers, the proof. His wife stepped closer. You really did this? We really did, I said. For the first time, something flickered in Marcus's eyes. Not hope. Not yet. But maybe the idea that hope was possible. We spent the next 2 weeks digging into Pinnacle Financial, called the state, filed complaints, found 3 other families with the same contract terms. Then Jennifer Torres called us back. You were right, she said. Pinnacle's been running the same scam in 4 counties. We've got enough to open an investigation, but we need someone willing to testify. I looked at Marcus. You ready to fight? He looked at his wife. She nodded. Yeah, he said. I'm ready. The hearing was set for November 12th. Marcus, 3 other victims, and Jennifer's team versus Pinnacle's wall of suits. We sat in the courtroom gallery. My husband gripped my hand so tight my fingers went numb. Pinnacle's lawyer stood up first. Slick, confident. Talked about legally binding contracts and personal responsibility. Then Marcus took the stand. He didn't yell, didn't cry, just told his story. Clear, honest, broken. The judge listened without interrupting. When Marcus finished, she looked down at the contract in front of her. This clause, she said, tapping the page. You're telling me one missed payment triggered a 15% rate increase retroactively? Yes, Your Honor, Pinnacle's lawyer said. And you don't see a problem with that? The lawyer hesitated. Just for a second. But it was enough. The judge set down her glasses. I do. 2 weeks later, the ruling came through. Pinnacle Financial was ordered to refund every illegal dollar charged under that clause. Over $6 million returned to 41 families across 4 counties. Marcus's debt dropped from $370,000 to $32,000. His house was safe. When we told him, he didn't say anything. He just sat down on his front porch steps and cried. His wife sat next to him, put her head on his shoulder. That night, my husband and I sat in the foundation office long after everyone else left. We can't stop now, he said. I looked at the stack of new case files on the desk. People calling from Ohio, Indiana, Missouri. No, I said. We can't. This wasn't just about us anymore. It was about every person who thought they were alone. Every family, one bad contract away from losing everything. We weren't just survivors anymore. We were soldiers. 3 years after we started the foundation, we moved into a real building. Not fancy, just clean walls, working heat, and enough desks for a team. We hired 2 paralegals, a financial counselor, a receptionist who answered calls in 3 languages, and every Tuesday at 10:47 a.m., the whole office stopped. We stood together, silent, 60 seconds. Then we got back to work. By year 4, we'd helped over 200 families escape predatory loans, recovered $18 million, shut down 4 illegal lending operations across 3 states. But the fight wasn't getting easier. It was getting meaner. Lenders started changing tactics, hiding terms deeper in contracts, using shell companies, threatening deportation if people didn't pay. One case nearly broke us. A young mother named Sophia. She'd borrowed $3,000 for her daughter's surgery. The lender was charging her $900 a month. For 6 years, she'd paid over $60,000. The balance still said $3,000. When we dug into the paperwork, we found the trick. Every payment was labeled service fee. None of it touched the actual loan. Pure theft. We filed a complaint. The lender's response came fast, a lawsuit against Sophia for defamation and breach of contract. They were trying to scare her into silence. It worked. She called us crying, ready to drop everything. I can't fight them, she said. I'll lose my daughter. They'll take everything. My husband looked at me across the desk. I saw the same tired anger in his eyes that I felt. "No," I said into the phone. "You won't. We're not letting that happen." We called every lawyer we knew, found one willing to take the case pro bono, showed up to every hearing, sat with Sophia through every deposition. The lender thought they could bury us in paperwork, drag it out until we gave up. They didn't know who they were dealing with. We'd already lived through 20 years of hell. A few more months of court didn't scare us. The judge ruled in Sophia's favor. The loan was voided. The lender was fined. Sophia walked out of that courtroom debt-free. She hugged us so hard I thought my ribs would crack. That night, my husband and I sat on the porch at home, the same porch where we used to sit in silence, hiding secrets. "You ever think about what life would have been like if I'd told you the truth from the start?" he asked. I thought about it. Really thought. "We would have had more money," I said. "More vacations, less stress." He nodded. "But we wouldn't have this," I said, gesturing toward the foundation. "We wouldn't have helped Marcus, or Sophia, or any of them." He looked at me. "You think it was worth it?" I took a long breath. "I think pain has to cost something. You can either let it break you, or you can make it count." He reached over and took my hand. "I used to think I ruined us," he said quietly. "Now I think maybe we were always supposed to end up here. Just took the long way." I didn't have an answer for that, so I just held his hand and watched the sun go down. 5 years in, we got a call that made my chest go tight. A woman's voice, shaking, familiar. "Is this the Brennan Foundation?" "Yes," I said. "How can we help?" "My name is Laura Thornton. I'm Leon's daughter. And I need to talk to you about my father's victims." I looked at my husband. His jaw clenched. Leon had been in prison for 5 years. We thought that chapter was closed. "What about them?" I asked carefully. "He kept records," she said, "before he went in. Names, amounts, everything he did. He hid them, but I found them." My pulse quickened. "Why are you calling us?" Her voice cracked. "Because I can't live with what he did, and I can't undo it, but maybe you can." We met her 2 days later at a coffee shop. She looked nothing like Leon. Soft eyes, nervous hands. She slid a folder across the table. "This is everything. 312 families, going back 30 years. I opened it. Page after page of names. Addresses. Dollar amounts that made me feel sick. "Why now?" my husband asked. She looked down. "Because I heard what you're doing. I heard you help people for free. And I realized my whole life was built on stolen money." Her voice broke. "I want to give it back. All of it." We spent 6 months working through that list, tracking people down. Some had moved, some had died, but the ones we found, we helped every single one. It wasn't just about money anymore. It was about giving people back the thing Leon stole from us for so long. Their voice. So if you're listening to this and you feel trapped by debt, by secrets, by fear, hear me when I say this. You are not alone. You are not broken. And silence will always cost you more than the truth. My husband carried a lie for 20 years because he thought it would protect me. Instead, it almost destroyed us both. But we didn't let it end there. We took that pain, that stolen time, that mountain of debt, and we turned it into a weapon. Not for revenge, for justice. So here's my question for you. Drop it in the comments right now. If someone you loved had been hiding a huge secret to protect you, could you forgive them? Or would that be the end? I want to know. Because forgiveness isn't simple. It's messy, it's hard, and it takes longer than anyone tells you. If this story helped you see something in your own life, hit subscribe. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. Next week, I'm breaking down the 3 warning signs someone in your life is hiding financial secrets and the one question you need to ask to get the truth. Thank you for listening to my story. Your voice matters. Your truth matters. And you deserve a partner who carries the weight with you, not for you. The day we held our first debt freedom meeting, I stood in the back of the room and almost cried. Folding chairs, cheap coffee, fluorescent lights. But every seat was full. Some people came alone. Some came as couples. Some brought kids because they couldn't afford a sitter. They all had the same look in their eyes, the look I used to see in the mirror. Fear, shame, tired hope. I walked to the front and took the mic. "I'm not a lawyer," I said. "I'm not a banker. I'm a wife who found out her husband had been paying a loan every Tuesday at 10:47 a.m. for 20 years. And I had no idea. The room went still. I told them our story. Not the polished version. The real one. The flu day. The bank. The Mercedes. The note with my father's name and my husband's signature. The shoebox. The break-in. The wire. The arrest. I told them about the nights I thought our marriage was over. The fights we didn't have because we were too scared to speak. The way silence eats you from the inside out. Then I told them about Leon going to prison. About Marcus keeping his house. About Sophia saving her daughter and losing her debt instead of her mind. When I finished, I looked out at that room full of strangers. If you're here, I said, you're already brave. You showed up. That's the first fight. Now let us help with the next ones. A man in the second row raised his hand. What if it's my fault? He asked. What if I signed something stupid? My husband stood then. Took the mic from me. Then you're human, he said. You made a mistake, just like I did, just like her dad did. The question isn't what you did back then, it's what you do now. A woman called out from the back. What if my husband is hiding something right now? You could feel the air tighten. I walked closer to her. Then you ask, I said. You ask even if your voice shakes. You look at the bank statements. You check the mail. You listen to your gut. And if you find something bad, you decide if you want to fight alone or together. She swallowed hard. And if he won't tell me, then that's your answer, my husband said quietly. Trust isn't a gift, it's a choice. And you can't choose it for two people. We stayed for hours after the meeting ended, answering questions, looking at contracts people pulled from purses and backpacks, taking names, making lists. By the time the last person left, my feet hurt and my throat was raw. But inside, I felt something I hadn't felt even on the day Leon was arrested. Peace. On our drive home, the sun was setting. The sky was streaked red and gold. Do you ever miss the before? My husband asked. Before you knew. Before Leon. Before all of this. I thought about our old life. Fake calm. Silent fear I didn't know was there. The Tuesday kisses goodbye I thought were normal. No, I said. I miss the years we lost. But I don't miss the lies. He nodded. Me either. We pulled into our driveway. Same house. New locks. Stronger walls, not just the kind made of wood. Inside, our daughter had stopped by. She was sitting at the table, scrolling her phone. How was the meeting? She asked. Packed, I said, dropping my bag. You'd be proud. She looked up. I already am. Then she said something that made every ache worth it. You know what my friends say when I talk about you two? She asked. They say, your parents turned a nightmare into a blueprint. I laughed. Blueprint? For what? For fighting back, she said simply. For not letting money and secrets own you. That night, after she left, my husband and I stood in the kitchen, just like the day I confronted him with that note. Back then, there was a paper between us. Now, there was nothing. No walls, no secrets, just us. He took a breath. I need to say it one more time, he said. I'm sorry. I know, I answered. And I forgive you. Not just in my head, in my life. His eyes filled. But this time, it wasn't from shame. It was from relief. We went to bed and, for the first time in a long time, I fell asleep without replaying old scenes in my head. No bank parking lot, no courtroom, no promissory note. Just his breathing next to me. Slow, steady, honest. Now, I'm talking to you. Yes, you. Listening to this on your phone, or watching on your couch, or hiding in your car because you don't want anyone to hear. Maybe you're the one with the secret. Maybe you're the one in the dark. Either way, here's what I've learned. Monsters like Leon only win when we stay quiet. Debt is math, but abuse is control. And silence is the most expensive bill you'll ever pay. So, if something feels off, don't ignore it. If you've messed up, tell the truth. If you're scared, say the words out loud. There are people like us now. People who know the tricks. People who will sit beside you while you shake and sign and fight. You are not a number on a page. You are not the worst thing you signed. You are not the sum of your secrets. You're a person who deserves peace. Every Tuesday at 10:47 a.m., my husband and I look at each other and remember the life we almost lost. Then we go help someone else keep theirs. That's our ending. Not the loan. Not the arrest. not the check. Our ending is this: two broken people, telling the truth and using their scars as a map so others don't have to get hurt in the same place. If you made it to the end of this story, tell me in the comments. What part hit you the hardest, and what are you going to do with that feeling? Because your next move? That's the start of your story. And I hope, someday, you'll be the one telling it to help someone else get free.